The real estate market in the United States is not small.
I think too, if we go back, a lot of people forget that after the housing market crash, 07, 08, there were some big changes that happened to loan officer compensation.
Oh, yeah.
Right? How we got paid. We used to be incentivized in a way that you can make a lot of money by doing a little bit of amount of loans. They totally changed the way we got paid. And it honestly worked out for the better, right? A lot of the things, it got rid of a lot of the shady, the unethical practices within the lending. Yeah. A lot of that stuff. And I think this is going to happen again, right? There's a lot of real estate. I mean, I don't know what Charlotte's up to, but 15,000 real estate agents in and around Charlotte. You can't tell me that they're all ethical, fantastic people. I would love to believe that, but the reality is there's going to be some bad apples in everything, right? And everywhere there's some people that are always trying to cut corners. So hopefully, I think one of the good things we can get out of this is it weeds out some of those people that are very self-centered, self-focused, and transactionally focused.
Right. I think exactly what you're exactly what you just said is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to be the individuals who may do this on a part-time basis.
Who may you gotta know what you're doing.
Who may just sit back and say, you know what, this was worth it when I was doing 1 or 2 deals a year. It's no longer worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I think those people are going to drop off. I think we're going to see individuals that were doing nefarious things. Which we all know them. I mean, I've got my list. You've got your list. Every realtor that's watching this has their list. I mean, we know that there are people out there that have done things that we don't agree with morally or ethically, and that don't benefit the industry. And that's sad, but that's also a reality across all industries.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a lawyer. I know bad lawyers. They exist. I mean,
fair.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a part of it. But I think we'll see that start to reduce down. Mm-hmm. I also think we're going to start to see maybe some more salary-based positions be created for realtors, where we see a situation where it's base plus. It's like, look, this realtor.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, see, like the realtor would be sitting there saying, you know what, I have this book of business that I built this book over 20 years. I've got a great reputation. I take great care of my clients. I'm all-star across the board, but I'm predominantly a buyer agent. If I'm a brokerage, I don't want to lose all of that brain power, all of that reputation, all of that ability. And if this guy's bringing in sizable cash, I can say, look, I know you're losing a lot of your income. Why don't I set you up with, similar to what you have in attorneys, where it's base, eat what you kill, base plus. And so, look, I'm going to set you up with $70K, $80K, whatever you merit at the time.
Yeah.
And then we're going to give you X percentage of your commission on top of that.
And then keep whatever. So they're still profitable.
Right. And so they're still profitable. They're still able to make a living.
Not a bad
They're
idea.
still do their profession. But it's also an opportunity for the brokerages to advertise these guys as just absolute monsters. Advisors and consolidate.
Mm-hmm. I was kind of thinking about similar ways, any change is going to cause attrition for the good and the bad, right? Some good people will leave the industry just because they can't afford to stay in it. Right. Some of the bad ones that do nefarious things, they will leave as well. But when I'm thinking about this big picture, I'm like, well, what about these aggregators? Are they going to be like the 2% list and sell type thing, have local agents on the ground and salaries just to essentially escort people in and out of homes to see them?
You mean like knock, open door?
Yeah, like those types of things where they're years ago, before the housing, right before the housing crash, there were agencies in Jersey that used to advertise buy sell for 3%. Mm-hmm. And all they had salaried real estate agents that just essentially showed people homes. That's all they did.
And they just brought in the leads.
They weren't out marketing. They were just working off the lead gen that was built by the company. But if you think in our industry, a lot has gone towards lead generation, right? These mass data aggregators that if they can do that and get more volume based on numbers and then just have local people in the markets to just buy sell. Now, what that does is it takes out your amazing agents, right? It's gonna essentially you become more of an order taker as opposed to an advisor. It's similar, like in our industry, it's happened quite a bit. Like the big aggregators in the
Call
mortgage
center
industry
type
of the
environments,
world. And it does. And at that point, you just become like a low price leader in terms of that. But I guess volume could sustain it. And that's kind of where my mind was going. Like, what is the ultimate change that's going to come? Because like anything else, when our changes came after the housing market crash, it took years for that all to go into effect.
Exactly.
So that's kind of the way you see this playing down.
Exactly. This is not this is a market shift. This is a fundamental market shift in the way that real estate works, in the way that it functions. And it's designed to be that way. And as we've seen, you're exactly right that in these different cases, in the reality of what happened after 2008, these actions took and these changes took a long time in order to piece through and get stable to where we could be where we are now. And that's going to be the exact same thing that happens here. And so I would really caution everybody in listening to themselves and the fear that's inside of you that says, I just lost my income. I don't think that's true. I think your income is going to change how it's made. I don't think, and it may change an amount. But again, if you are one of these agents that we're talking about, where you can meet people, talk to people, move these people forward, you can advise, you understand real estate, you understand how lending works, you understand how the legal side works. And we know those agents.
Yeah,
sure. I can name, just the three of us right now can probably fill up our hands, just the guys that we hang out with on a regular basis, who are incredible real estate agents.
Fair.
And have earned every single dollar that they have ever created. And we can name those guys. Those guys are going to be the ones that are headhunted. Those guys are going to be the ones that people look at and they say, I have to have him. Like, I've got to pay him in order to continue doing what we need to do. I have to pay her. They're going to be a hot
commodity.
Exactly.
Hot potato.
But it's going to take time in order to do that. It's going to take time in order to move that through. And so I really would caution people against listening to people that say, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen. Nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
But I would also caution people that, the Chicken Littles of the world, they're like, this guy is falling. Everything's going to, we're all going to burn. Like, we don't need that guy. All right. The reality is that this is written in such a way to where it causes change, but it doesn't cause collapse. And that is a very important legal thought process to go through. I want to cause change. Like, I want to make the goose fat, but I don't want to kill it.
Yeah.
He's fat now. I want to make him slimmer. I want to change the goose in some way, but I don't want to kill it.
Yeah.
Because if I kill it, I've just shot myself in the foot.
Then you're gone. Then you make no money.
I got nothing. I got nothing. I've literally done the exact opposite thing of what I wanted to do.
So if I'm a buyer or seller, all right, I'm gonna dial us back. As our CEO loves to say, I'm in third grade. I'm shooting spit wads in the back row. Okay, I don't understand any of this legal talk. I don't understand settlements. I don't know what's going on in life. Is there any piece of advice that you would give both a buyer and a seller from the consumer standpoint with the settlement and the changes at the way they do real estate?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest change is be compassionate. That's one of the things that I think we all experienced in 2020 is that there was a viciousness that kind of wrapped into the market that I don't think any of us really expected. There was a thought process of, and it used to shock me, and it shocked me tremendously, but what happened with due diligence in North Carolina, I thought was absolutely insane. Individuals putting down $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in due diligence money. Yeah, on just the ability to look at the house without it being on the market. Like, if I'm going to buy a car, I'm not paying half the price of the car to take a test drive.
Right.
But that's
crazy.
But that's literally what we were doing.
Yes. Yeah.
And I can't tell you the number of phone calls that I got where I had individuals call me and they were like, I just put my life savings down on a house and we just got the disclosures that weren't put up on the MLS before we put this offer in. We put it in sight unseen. I came down here and the crawl space is flooded and it's covered in mold and I can't live here. And I'm being told by the other side that, sorry, your due diligence money's gone. You don't have any right to get it. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, that's wrong. Like, that is just wrong. It is. And then there's no ethical way to do it. We have to be able to sit back and say, and I always hear this and it infuriates me because in my world where we actually fight, like, that's what I do. I fight. Like, a lawyer, and I think a lot of litigation attorneys will tell you, that there comes a point in time when the money is so big we don't fight over pennies.
Yeah.
And that is something that sellers and buyers need to start thinking about, is that if I'm a seller and I have somebody who is wanting to buy my house, I need to be cool with a calculation of $150 a day for due diligence period, or $200 a day, $300 a day, whatever that is. These ideas of $50, $60, $100,000, that's just profiteering. It's not ethical, it's not moral. We can have these conversations and say, you know what, like, give me $5,000 for 2 weeks. $5,000 for 2 weeks. You buy the house, guess what? I got $5,000. You don't buy the house, cool. Or let's say, for example, you got issues, they got inspection issues, things are going on and having a problem. They get down to the last day and they're like, look, we found this problem. It's too much for us to fix. Are you willing to do it? I'm not willing to do it. Okay, can we back out? Sure. Would you be willing to give us some of our due diligence money back? Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll
Be
give you a portion of it
compassionate,
back.
work with people.
Yeah, I'll give you some of it back. You know, it's the thing.
Such an emotional transaction too, you know.
Right.
We see this all the time, you know, in what we do, because we work with home buyers every day. And I would add to that, you know, in the fact that using an experienced real estate agent is extremely important. I think now, especially navigating these changes, navigating what's ahead, I think it's always been important to have a great real estate agent and negotiator. Now it's even more important. But one thing I kind of hope that comes out of all this is the reality that, you know, do real estate agents make a lot of money? They can. But what a lot of people don't realize is on this, you know, maybe 2 or 3% commission that they got, you know, there's taxes. No one's paying their gas, right? No one's paying their expenses to go show these houses. If they're listing, there's photos, there's marketing, there's licensing fees. You always have to pay out your brokerage. You hang your license with the firm. So there's all these different fees. So what they actually take home versus what they actually make is very different. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. So that's one thing from the consumer standpoint I really hope kind of gets the message out, is like, what do real estate agents actually bring home? And it's you'd be honestly probably pretty surprised in what they're, especially because again, it's based on price points. So if you're predominantly helping first-time home buyers, what you take home is going to be much smaller than if you're the luxury salesperson and you're selling $2 million lake homes. It's completely different.
And it can sometimes be, to that point, like, it can sometimes be months between a sale. So yeah, if I make $12,000 in a month, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But if I got 3 months where I don't make anything,
right,
and I'm having to pay these fees and pay these other items and pay these other things that come through, you know, all of a sudden that $12,000 ain't a lot of money.
But let's be honest too, right? Think about, put yourself in a seller's perspective right now. We live in a high market. We own homes. Like, if I want to sell my home, I'm looking for the best of the best because I want to maximize my value there. So am I going to be willing to pay, you know, an agent more? To have confidence and faith that my home's going to sell at a point where I feel is reasonable enough for my family, as opposed to bargain basement shopping with someone who just wants to list it for a nominal fee.
Right.
And I think that's the other part from a consumer side. You need to be really educated on who you're working with.
Right.
There are some amazing agents. I have a client I just closed on 4 years of shopping with an agent. 4 years, and she just closed. You know, that there's a lot of time and energy and resources and money that is put into by the real estate agent to serve their clients.
Correct.
Regardless of the fees to operate, just the time spent alone. So, you know, again, value is essentially out there. It's a matter of how you deem value as a consumer and what your expectations are.
Right.
I mean,
and that's something that I think goes into what we're really looking at here, and that is the seismic change that this settlement will have. And it's going to be all of these different portions, right? It's going to be marketing. It's going to be how many agents are there. It's going to be the structure of brokerages. It's going to be the amount of commissions. It's going to be what sellers understand about the settlement and what buyers understand about the settlement. It's going to be what buyers can afford to pay. I mean, when we're talking about 8% interest rates with no increase in wages, that is a difficult position to be in if you want to buy a home.
I almost
hands down.
feel like to a certain degree, like the low to moderate income buyers that are relying on down payment assistance aren't going to have the resources to pay a buyer agent to go buy a house.
That's exactly right.
So are we now making it more difficult for a certain class of buyers to have access to housing?
It's very possible. And, but again, that goes to a potential change in those programs. Like, is there an ability to say, we're going to marginally increase the amount of this and that a portion of it can be used to pay your broker?
Something good could come out.
We
just don't know yet.
We just don't know.
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
And these are all things, but that's the beauty of a market purchase system, is that these abilities, these solutions can be created, and then they can be tested, and the ones that win will win out.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes. It just takes time. That's the thing.
So,
and
everything's changed, but nothing's changed.
Everything's changed, but nothing's changed. And until it does, that's the mantra that you have to have. And so,
just roll.
I think that I would encourage all the realtors that are watching this, in our world, in the legal world, doesn't really change much. It's going to change what we put on the CD or the HUD. For us, it doesn't really cause a lot of issue. For my litigation side, it may cause some issue. If there's some disputes as to, well, you said this, you didn't say that, but we'll deal with that, right? We'll deal with that problem as it comes through. But I would really encourage all of the agents that are watching this to sit back, take a deep breath, and let it play out.
Yeah.
If real estate is your main job, it is the main way that you provide for your family, remember, it is the best way in the world to provide for your family, because land is never worth zero. And if you can understand how money works and how land works, you can make money.
Yeah.
So take a deep breath, sit back, slow down, let this play out. Let it play out. Let it go through. Don't say nothing's going to change. Don't say it's the end of the world. Let it happen.
Yeah.
And we'll see what goes through, and we'll deal with it.
Yeah, and I think, just to add to that, if you want to continue in real estate, if you're a real estate agent, you want to continue in real estate, this is what you love. Allow that passion to lead you. This is where you can really make a difference by being an advisor to your clients and actually showing value versus being a transactional realtor, which always just grinds my gears, because we all know when we get one, all they care about is the check, right? The check at the end. They're not advocating for their client. Mm-hmm. So first of all, thank you so much for joining us, Graham. Thank you for breaking that down.
It's a great topic. I appreciate you asking me.
If you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop it in the comments below. If you have any specific questions for Graham, granted, he is not going to provide legal advice. I'm sure you can give that disclaimer. But he can absolutely answer any questions specific to the settlement if you have any questions. And keep on the lookout. We'll do an update here down the road. Again, as we talked about, things are going to slowly change. This is going to take time to digest all of this and what it means and how we're going to continue to go do business. But don't be scared. Don't worry about the minutia, the details, right? Let's just continue to serve clients. Let's continue to do our job, both as loan officers, as attorneys, as real estate agents. Let's continue to do what's best, and that's serving the community. And thank you so much for tuning in. Any final thoughts before we sign out, boys?
Just one thing. I don't represent you. I'm not your lawyer. I'm happy to be your lawyer. But I just really appreciate the opportunity to talk on this, because I think this is a very important thing. And I know there's a lot of fear out there. I know there's a lot of fear out there. And, what you said about the minutia is our job.
Yeah.
That's the lawyer's job. The realtor's job right now.
Can't understand it anyways.
Yeah. Well, but the reality is, guys, just continue to do good work. Continue to do good work. If you continue to do good work, you're not going to have a problem. And you'll be able to have that book of business that you can fall back on, that you can navigate the future as to what it is. The last thing you want to do is do a terrible job and, and not have anybody that calls you to sell a house. And then all of a sudden, not only you're not getting paid, but you don't have anybody that can pay you. So just do the good jobs, keep working hard, and you're going to be just fine. And we'll figure out what it looks like.
I would just say, to that effect, keep good people in your circle, people that will inform you, keep you up to date, support your similar mission, right? Serving the community, doing the right thing, and for those who do, we will all be fine in the end.
There you go. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you need some more information about real estate, investing, or mortgages, this is the channel for you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and make it a good one.